Have you ever wondered why the people we care about the most often choose silence instead of truth? You can sense something beneath their words, you can feel it in their pauses, but they don't say what their heart truly carries. That silence can leave you restless, questioning yourself, wondering if you are imagining things or if there is something real hiding just out of reach. It's a question that haunts so many of us. Why do feelings hide in shadows when they could be spoken in light? The reality is simple but heavy. Human emotions are not always expressed in words because words are risky. To say what we feel is to open a door, to make ourselves vulnerable, and vulnerability can feel terrifying. Many women hold back what's in their hearts, not because they don't care, but because they care too much. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, or even fear of losing control can make honesty feel dangerous. So instead of confessing directly, emotions find secret ways to escape, through actions, through silence, through the smallest signals that often go unnoticed. This is where awareness becomes power. When you begin to see beyond what is said, when you train yourself to hear the unspoken, you unlock a deeper level of understanding. Most people live on the surface waiting for someone to admit their feelings. But those who pay attention, those who learn to read the hidden layers, discover truths that change the way they connect with others. Think about it. How different would your relationships be if you could recognize the truth before it was spoken? How much stronger would you feel if you trusted your ability to read what others try to hide? The reward for this awareness is far greater than clarity and love. It's a transformation in the way you see yourself. Because when you learn to recognize hidden emotions, you stop doubting your own instincts. You begin to trust your perception, and that trust builds confidence. Instead of second-guessing every signal, you start to feel steady, composed, and secure in the knowledge that your heart and mind can align. That kind of strength doesn't just change your relationships, it changes your entire life. And that is why this journey matters. It is not only about discovering whether she feels something for you, it is about rising into a stronger version of yourself, a version that no longer feels confused or powerless in the face of uncertainty. Every hidden sign you learn to read is another step toward wisdom, courage, and emotional mastery. By the end, you will see how silence speaks, how small details hold big truths, and how awareness turns confusion into clarity. Stay with me, because what you are about to discover may not only reveal her hidden feelings, it may reveal your hidden strength. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is often the place where the deepest truths hide, wrapped in layers of fear and guarded by uncertainty. When someone holds back their feelings, it doesn't mean they lack emotion. It often means the emotion is so powerful that they are afraid of what might happen if it escapes. This is the reason why words are replaced with hesitation, why smiles sometimes come with hesitation, and why presence can feel both close and distant at the same time. To understand this is to realize that silence itself is a language, and only those with patience and courage can translate it. Many women choose silence over confession because silence feels safer. Words are permanent. Once spoken, they cannot be taken back. But silence allows feelings to exist without exposure, without the risk of being judged or rejected. Behind that silence may live fear of losing dignity, fear of being misunderstood, or even fear of disrupting a fragile connection. This is why so many emotions remain hidden, waiting for the right moment, waiting for trust to grow strong enough to hold the weight of truth. Recognizing this is not just about noticing her, it is about building a new way of seeing the world, a way where nothing is dismissed as meaningless. The greatest mistake people make is assuming silence equals absence. In reality, silence often equals presence of emotion so overwhelming it cannot yet be named. Think about it. When a heart is uncertain, when feelings collide with doubts, silence becomes the shield. But every shield reveals itself if you look closely. It shows in body language, in energy, in the pauses between words. Those pauses are not empty space. They are filled with everything she doesn't dare to admit. If you can learn to see this, you gain more than just insight into her emotions. You gain mastery over your own. Because once you understand that silence is communication, you stop feeling powerless in its presence. You no longer beg for answers. Instead, you recognize that silence is an answer in itself. It teaches patience. It demands presence. It invites you to look deeper rather than run away. That shift in perspective makes you stronger, more grounded, and far less dependent on constant reassurance. The reward is freedom. Freedom from doubt, freedom from overthinking, freedom from the insecurity that eats away at confidence. When you begin to see silence as an expression of hidden depth, you no longer see it as rejection. Instead, you recognize it as the slow unfolding of truth. That understanding changes everything. It transforms confusion into clarity, fear into curiosity, and insecurity into strength. And once you carry that strength, nothing feels uncertain anymore. You realize that silence is not the end of communication. It is the beginning of connection. The eyes have a power that words will never match. They are windows into emotions too raw to be spoken, too delicate to be risked in sound. When someone hides their true feelings, the first place they betray themselves is in the gaze they cannot control. A voice can lie, but the eyes cannot stay loyal to the mask. They flicker, they linger, they avoid, they rush back again. And in those fleeting moments lies the truth that silence is working so hard to conceal. To ignore this is to miss the purest confession of the heart. Every time she looks at you and then looks away too quickly, it is not emptiness, it is intensity. It is the pull of feelings colliding with fear. Every time her gaze holds yours longer than it should, it is a battle between wanting to be seen and fearing what being seen might reveal. The science of human emotion shows that the eyes react faster than thought, meaning what escapes in that moment is unfiltered and real. This is why eye contact is so heavy, why it lingers in memory long after words fade. It is truth leaking out before the mind can hide it. To recognize this is to step into a higher awareness, because most people dismiss it. They see eyes only as part of a face, not as the doorway to everything unspoken. But when you choose to look deeper, you see the conflict, the longing, the care she cannot name. That recognition does more than reveal her. It strengthens you. It gives you confidence that your intuition is valid, that what you feel in those moments is not imagination, but reality. It empowers you to stop second-guessing yourself, to trust that your perception has weight and meaning, and there is power in that trust. When you no longer question the truth you see in her eyes, you gain composure. You stop chasing verbal confirmation and start understanding silent admission. You begin to notice the tiny shifts, the way her pupils expand, the way her eyes soften when you speak, the way they search for you in a crowded room. Each of these moments is a fragment of truth, and when gathered together they create a picture no denial can erase. That picture is the language of hidden emotion. The reward for learning this is clarity. You no longer feel lost in the fog of uncertainty. You no longer wait endlessly for spoken words. You realize that feelings often reveal themselves in silence, in glances, in the energy between two people. By tuning into that, you free yourself from doubt and embrace certainty born not of what is said, but of what is undeniably felt. Eyes never lie, and when you learn to listen to them, you no longer fear the silence. You finally see the truth shining through it. Actions reveal truths that words are too fragile to carry. When someone hides what they feel, it slips out in the smallest gestures, in the quiet details they hope no one notices. She may not say a word, but she remembers the things you once mentioned, the details most people would forget. She may not confess directly, but she goes out of her way to make your life easier in ways that seem insignificant to others. These are not accidents. These are the language of care translated into action. Every effort is a silent signal, a piece of emotion expressed in motion. Human nature is simple at its core. We invest energy only where we feel meaning. If she is going out of her way, if she shows up when she doesn't have to, if she makes space for you in her busy world, that is not coincidence. It is connection. People who don't care will not create effort. Effort is the shadow of feeling, and the deeper the feeling, the more consistent the shadow becomes. Once you begin to notice this, you start to see how often emotions escape through action long before they dare to escape through words. The danger lies in dismissing these gestures as ordinary. Most overlook them, blinded by the desire for dramatic confessions or clear declarations. But the truth of hidden feelings is rarely loud. It whispers through attention, through presence, through the choices she makes when no one is watching. The more you sharpen your awareness, the more you realize that effort is a reflection of emotion that refuses to stay buried. Every action that places you above convenience, every moment she prioritizes your comfort, every small act of kindness is a fragment of truth waiting for you to see it. The transformation begins when you learn to value these subtleties, because once you do, you step out of the endless cycle of doubt. You no longer wait helplessly for spoken confirmation. You begin to trust what is real in front of you. That trust builds your strength, because you are no longer dependent on words alone. You become someone who reads reality instead of wishing for reassurance. That shift is power. That shift is clarity. That shift turns uncertainty into confidence. The reward for understanding this is freedom from blindness. Once you see effort as emotion, you stop questioning whether hidden feelings exist. You recognize them in every detail, in every thoughtful action, in every choice that places you above indifference. That recognition builds a deep sense of certainty. It gives you the ability to honor the truth without demanding it out loud. And in that awareness, you realize that the smallest gestures often carry the biggest confessions. Effort does not lie, and once you notice it, you no longer doubt, you finally understand. Emotions are never as controlled as people wish them to be. When someone hides what they feel, their body often betrays the secret before their mind can lock it away. You will notice it in the sudden changes that take place when you walk into the room. A calm presence may shift into nervous laughter, restless energy, or a spark of excitement that seems to arrive from nowhere. These changes are not random. They are the natural leakage of emotion, the undeniable evidence that her heart reacts faster than her defenses can rebuild. Pay close attention to the atmosphere when you are near. If her mood brightens unexpectedly, if her tone softens without explanation, or if she suddenly becomes restless, it is not coincidence. The body responds to attraction with instinct, long before thought has time to interfere. That nervous energy is not weakness, it is proof that feelings are alive, even if she is determined to hide them. Every shift is a confession that her emotions cannot be contained within the neat walls she has built around them. Most people ignore these signs, dismissing them as personality quirks or random fluctuations. But nothing about emotion is random. The heart leaves fingerprints on every interaction, and the harder it tries to stay hidden, the louder those fingerprints become. The smile that appears at the sound of your voice, the tension that slips into her posture when you're too close, the energy that surges in her presence, these are not accidents. They are silent declarations she cannot completely suppress. Recognizing these shifts requires courage, because it demands you trust your perception instead of brushing it aside. Many choose to overlook them out of fear of being wrong, but the truth is not found in denying what you feel. It is found in learning to read the signals with honesty. When you acknowledge these shifts, you begin to see that hidden emotions are never truly hidden. They always find a way to express themselves through tone, through movement, through energy that speaks louder than words. The transformation lies in what this realization does to you. Once you understand that feelings reveal themselves through changes in presence, you gain clarity. You stop demanding constant reassurance. You begin to trust that what you sense is real, that your intuition has value. This not only strengthens your connection with her, but it strengthens your relationship with yourself. Confidence grows when you stop ignoring the truth in front of you. The reward for mastering this awareness is certainty. You no longer chase spoken validation because you already see the evidence in her reactions. You no longer feel powerless in the face of silence because silence itself cannot hide the storm of emotion that lives underneath it. Every shift is proof, every change is a signal, and once you learn to see it, you no longer doubt, you finally know. Hidden feelings often reveal themselves in the way someone becomes conscious of how they appear around you. There is a sudden attention to detail, a quiet but deliberate effort to manage the impression they leave. She may adjust her posture, touch her hair, or check her reflection, not out of vanity, but because your presence activates a deeper awareness of self. Attraction awakens the instinct to present the best version of oneself, and even when words are withheld, the body speaks through preparation and subtle adjustments. These signals may seem small, yet they carry immense weight when seen through the lens of truth. Indifference does not bother to prepare. Indifference does not care about being noticed. But when feelings are alive, everything shifts. Clothing is chosen more carefully. Words are measured with greater intention, and even the smallest details become a stage where emotion performs in secret. She may never admit she is doing it for you, but the effort is not random. It is evidence that your presence matters more than she is willing to confess. Every time she checks how she looks before meeting you, every time she straightens her composure in your presence, it is a silent declaration of value. Most people overlook this, assuming it is routine behavior, but there is a difference between ordinary habits and heightened awareness. That difference is found in timing. When changes in self-presentation appear specifically around you, it is not coincidence, it is communication. She may fear exposing her heart through words, but her actions give her away. The need to be seen at her best is not born from indifference, but from care. That care is the hidden truth waiting for you to notice. Learning to recognize this is not about vanity or surface-level attraction. It is about perceiving the deeper message beneath the behavior. It teaches you to see that hidden feelings are rarely shown directly, but they are always expressed indirectly. And when you train your eyes to notice these small acts of self-conscious effort, you begin to see what most people miss: the subtle art of emotional confession through image and presence. This awareness does more than reveal her. It empowers you. It frees you from the endless search for spoken confirmation. You begin to trust your perception of reality, and that trust strengthens your confidence. You no longer chase words that may never be spoken. Instead, you honor the effort you can see with clarity. That recognition transforms you into someone who understands the hidden language of emotion, someone who can stand firm in the face of silence because silence no longer hides anything. The reward is certainty born from observation. Once you notice how carefully she manages her image in your presence, you no longer doubt whether hidden feelings exist. You see the evidence clearly. You feel the truth unfolding before you. And in that moment, you realize that the effort to appear composed is itself a confession. One of the clearest signs of hidden emotion is jealousy, though it rarely shows itself in obvious ways. It comes disguised in small reactions, in questions that seem casual but carry weight, in sudden shifts of mood when your attention is directed elsewhere. She may not admit it, she may even try to cover it with humor or indifference, but jealousy is the shadow of desire. It is the heart's way of saying, "You matter to me and I fear losing what I haven't even claimed." This is not weakness, it is proof of value. No one becomes protective over something that means nothing. Notice the moments when her energy shifts as you speak about another woman. Notice the subtle tension, the faint withdrawal, the look in her eyes that tries to remain steady but cannot hide the spark of unease. These are not accidents. They are silent declarations that you hold a place in her world, whether she has spoken it aloud or not. Even the smallest signs of jealousy reveal care, because care cannot stay invisible forever. It finds a way to express itself, even if only through a fleeting reaction she hoped you would not notice. Understanding this is not about exploiting her feelings. It is about recognizing the depth of what is unspoken. When jealousy arises, it is the clearest evidence that her emotions are not casual. They are invested. They are alive. They are quietly fighting against the fear of loss. That recognition should not inflate your pride, it should awaken your empathy, because behind jealousy is vulnerability, and behind vulnerability is courage waiting to be met with understanding. Too many people respond to jealousy with arrogance, treating it as validation for their own worth. But true strength lies in responding with patience and compassion. When you see jealousy not as a flaw, but as a confession, you elevate yourself. You learn to respect the unspoken battle within her, the struggle between wanting to protect her heart and wanting to open it. That respect builds trust. And trust is what transforms hidden feelings into spoken truths. The transformation for you lies in how this awareness reshapes your confidence. You no longer dismiss subtle reactions as meaningless. You no longer overlook the truth hiding in plain sight. Instead, you gain the ability to see beyond words, to connect with the reality of emotion, even when it hides behind silence. That power strengthens not only your relationship with her, but also your relationship with yourself. Because once you learn to recognize care in its hidden forms, you stop doubting your instincts and start trusting the evidence your heart has been reading all along. The reward is certainty. Jealousy may be disguised, but it is never empty. It is proof that feelings exist, that you matter, that her silence is not indifference but protection. And once you see it clearly, you no longer question whether emotions are present. You understand that they have been there all along, waiting for you to notice. The more you grow, the more you will realize that strength is not about how much weight you can carry, but about how much truth you can face without running away. Most people spend their entire lives trying to escape reality, building walls around their fears and pretending they don't exist. But the person who breaks through is the one who refuses to hide, the one who looks straight at the discomfort and says, "This will not control me." Power is born the moment you stop pretending and start confronting. Every layer of fear you peel away reveals a deeper layer of freedom, and freedom is the soil where confidence grows without limits. When you stop resisting what scares you, you transform that fear into the very energy that fuels your rise. Growth will not come by wishing for easier circumstances. Growth comes when you learn to bend without breaking, to endure without losing yourself, and to keep walking even when the ground beneath you shakes. The truth is, resilience is not something you find by accident. It is something you build brick by brick, choice by choice. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you show up despite doubt, you add another brick to the foundation of a stronger you. And eventually that foundation becomes unshakable. You don't wait for courage. You create it in the moments you choose to continue. The mind has a habit of exaggerating the weight of what lies ahead, whispering lies that you are not ready, that you are not enough. But the reality is that you have already endured storms that once felt impossible. And yet here you are. You've survived days you thought would break you, nights you thought would never end, and fears that once felt unbearable. And every one of those experiences is proof that you carry more strength than your doubts would ever allow you to believe. That proof is not in theory. It's in your history, in the scars you wear, in the moments you rose when falling seemed easier. Every time you demand more of yourself, you expand the limits of what you thought was possible. The body adapts to pressure, the mind adapts to challenge, and the soul adapts to struggle. That is how transformation works. Nothing changes when you stay in the comfort of what feels safe. Nothing grows when you only do what you already know you can do. Greatness belongs to those who dare to stretch themselves into the unknown, who allow themselves to be uncomfortable, who welcome the weight that others fear to carry. That discomfort is not punishment. It is preparation. It is carving you into someone unrecognizable to the weaker version of you who once settled for less. So demand more. Step into the resistance. Embrace the weight that tries to crush you and turn it into the very force that builds you. Because the person you are becoming deserves nothing less than your absolute strength. Strength is not measured by how loudly you speak or how boldly you present yourself to the world, but by the quiet persistence with which you fight battles no one else can see. It is found in the discipline to rise each morning with purpose, even when exhaustion tells you to stay down. It is found in the decision to keep moving when comfort tempts you to stand still. The world will always test you, not to destroy you, but to reveal whether your belief in yourself is strong enough to withstand the storm. Every challenge is a mirror, reflecting back the truth about who you are and who you have the potential to become. Your potential is not limited by your circumstances, your past, or your failures. It is limited only by the boundaries you draw in your own mind. The moment you decide those boundaries are lies, the moment you choose to stop shrinking yourself to fit into the expectations of others, you awaken to a power that cannot be contained. That awakening is uncomfortable because it demands you to let go of excuses, to stop blaming, and to take ownership of everything within your control. Ownership is not easy, but it is the birthplace of transformation. When you claim full responsibility for your growth, you take back the power that fear and doubt once held hostage. It is in the moments of struggle that identity is forged. Every time you choose discipline over weakness, you rewrite the story of who you are. Every time you refuse to surrender, you train your mind to see possibilities where others see dead ends. Every decision you make in alignment with your higher standard is a declaration of the life you are building. You are not simply surviving, you are shaping yourself into someone unrecognizable to the person who once doubted their own strength. That is how evolution happens, not through chance, but through relentless determination. There will be voices, internal and external, that try to convince you that you cannot go further. But those voices are not truth. They are echoes of fear, and fear only has as much power as you allow it to hold. Silence it by taking action. Prove it wrong by refusing to stop. Every small step you take in the direction of growth is another nail in the coffin of your old limitations. Momentum builds in silence. Strength multiplies through repetition, and transformation unfolds not in sudden bursts, but in the consistent grind of showing up when it matters most. Your life is waiting for the version of you who no longer hesitates, who no longer hides behind doubt, who no longer accepts less than their full potential. That version is within reach, but it will only appear when you demand it from yourself. Decide now to step into that identity. Decide now to refuse weakness. Decide now to rise into the greatness that has always been yours. The path to becoming unshakable begins the moment you stop negotiating with weakness. Every compromise you make with laziness, with fear, with hesitation steals a piece of your future. The more you give in to excuses, the further you drift from the life you were meant to live. There is no growth in comfort, no progress in hesitation, no breakthrough in avoidance. You must decide that the pain of discipline is always greater than the pain of regret, and that nothing temporary will ever be worth sacrificing the permanent greatness you are capable of. You are not defined by how you feel in a single moment, but by what you choose to do in that moment. Feelings are fleeting, but decisions shape destiny. When fatigue whispers that you cannot go on, you must answer with action. When doubt suggests you are not good enough, you must silence it with effort. When fear tries to trap you in the familiar, you must tear through it with courage. Every act of resistance against weakness becomes a brick in the foundation of unbreakable strength. The mind will always try to convince you to protect yourself, to stay safe, to remain in the known. But safety is the enemy of growth, and protection is often the disguise of limitation. The moment you step beyond what feels secure, you begin to expand. Growth demands risk, not the reckless kind, but the kind that requires faith in your own ability to adapt, to endure, and to rise. You were not created to live small, and deep within you, you know it. That hunger you feel, that restlessness, is proof that your soul refuses to settle. Every day is a test, and the questions are always the same. Will you give in to weakness or rise in strength? Will you repeat the old patterns or create new ones? Will you choose comfort or chase progress? Your answers are written in your actions, not your words. Each time you choose growth over comfort, you build the character required to carry the life you dream of. Greatness is not a single event. It is a series of invisible choices that compound until the world cannot ignore what you've become. The truth is, nothing will change until you do. No opportunity will matter if you are not prepared for it. No breakthrough will last if you have not built the discipline to sustain it. Your growth is not optional. It is required if you want to escape mediocrity. And mediocrity is the silent thief of dreams, taking everything from those who wait for life to happen instead of creating it. Stand in your strength. Command your mind. Refuse the chains of hesitation. Every second you waste is another second you could have been closer to the life you want. The choice is yours now, and every moment forward is the proof of who you decide to be.